Taoiseach, I get a sense that government doesn't fully appreciate the terrible impact on our health services that tomorrow's strike by healthcare assistants, lab and theatre operatives and chefs will have. These workers are the cogs in the wheels of our health service. It cannot operate without them. Patients will be discommoded, cancellations of elective admissions will happen, and necessary X-rays, scans, procedures will not happen for many patients across the hospital system if this goes ahead. Now, I raised this issue yesterday with you, Taoiseach, and you said that the government wanted to ensure that these workers are paid adequately and that they are fulfilled in their roles. Yet you attacked me and my party and you tried to lecture us for daring to even raise the issue yesterday and for saying something similar to what you said. You also criticised my party for raising the issue of low pay within the Defence Forces and for tabling a motion last week to highlight the terrible conditions that many in our Defence Forces have to endure. You have a tendency, Taoiseach, to be dismissive when it comes to low-paid workers and their situation. When we in this side of the House, however, raised the over £1 billion additional expenditure on the National Children's Hospital, or the £2.5 billion additional expenditure on the National Broadband Plan, you dismissed any concerns from this side of the House, and indeed dismissed the concerns of the Secretary-General of the Department of Public Expenditure, who warned you that this project on broadband did not represent value for money. You had no problem then with the massive overspends and the runaway nature of spending on both those projects, and you dismissed anybody who raised any concerns about them. Yet when it comes to low-paid workers, Taoiseach, in our health services and in our defence forces, you get on your high horse, you adopt a dismissive tone, and you attack the opposition for daring to even raise the issues. Yet it has to be pointed out to you that the health service workers have abided by the Public Service Stability Agreement. Their unions have adhered to it. The process has been ongoing since 2015. Government, however, has put preconditions on the referral to the Labour Court, and that has remained the stumbling block to this issue. You're putting conditions on the referral to the Labour Court. The HSE has agreed to pay. Government stopped that. You want to try and fix the outcome in advance of the hearing. Essentially, deeper in the talks confirmed the Department of Public Expenditure that they would consider paying the money owed to the workers in 2021. And isn't that the real agenda from the government side, to kick this out to 2021 and not to deal with it now as per the agreement when the union signed up to the Public Service Stability Agreement? And that is at the core of this. And I think the government hasn't played with a straight bat on this in terms of the issue.
Taoiseach. Ceann Comhairle, I've no difficulty with the Deputy raising questions at all. This is a parliament, this is a democracy, this is the place where the Leader of the Opposition asks questions, and this is where I answer them. And I'm very happy to answer your questions, and I have no difficulty with you raising them at all. But I do think you need to be a little bit less querulous, a little bit less sensitive, and a lot less precious. It's entirely reasonable for me to point out the hypocrisy of your party's position. Just before now, we had questions to the Minister for Finance, and the Minister for Finance was being criticised by your party for increasing spending during the year and for using corporation profit tax receipts to do it. Then you come in here and demand more spending, just as you did yesterday, just as you did the week before. You know, it's entirely reasonable for me to point out to the Irish people and to everyone the hypocrisy and the two-facedness of the positions that you take. And when it comes to concern about low-paid workers, again, I'd like to once again point out the hypocrisy and the two-faced nature of your party's position. You're the party that cut the minimum wage. You cut the minimum wage. We have increased it 4 times now. You're the party that brought in FEMPI and slashed the pay of low-paid workers. You know, it's entirely reasonable for me to point out the hypocrisy and two-facedness of the kind of positions that you and your party take. But getting back to the substantive issue and the issue that's actually important to talk about, in my view, which is the threatened strike tomorrow. As I said yesterday, and as I said again, government does not want this strike to happen. We're willing to work with the unions through the industrial relations mechanisms, through the WRC, through the Labour Court, to come to a resolution so that the strike can be avoided. All strikes are sorted out sooner or later. This strike will be sorted out sooner or later. I would rather that it be sorted out sooner, thus avoiding strike action tomorrow. And I've suggested that the Labour Court could be the mechanism by which this dispute could be resolved, and I hope that can be possible during the day.
Deputy Martin.
Well, Taoiseach, first of all, I would remind you that when it comes to public service pay agreements, under the Conference and Supply Agreement, Fianna Fáil has facilitated those agreements and have also facilitated the last 3 budgets, and in the context of Brexit has fulfilled its parliamentary duties in a constructive and responsible manner. Those are the facts of the situation. When it comes to the health service workers, however, it is you. You keep talking about 2 sides. You are the other side. You are the other side. Because it's you who confirmed that you try and pay this out in 2021. This has been going on since 2015. We're not responsible for how you deal with the wider issues and the mismanagement of big projects like broadband in the children's hospitals. But when it comes to something that's already in an agreement as far back as 2015, you are saying to the workers, to the chefs, for example, of about 2 million would cost for the additionality in terms of the pay for the chefs, you are simply saying, no, you're not getting it. We want you to go to the Labour Court, but before you go to the Labour Court, we want to fix the outcome in terms of putting preconditions on how it gets referred to the Labour Court. And that's exactly what is happening in this regard, because DEPA confirmed that the money would be considered for payment in 2021, possibly in a successor agreement. If you look at chefs, the review recommended, a review that took place in 2017 recommended that chefs be linked to craft workers' pay scales. And again, the HSE asked for that to be done. They agreed with it. It's you who decided that they wouldn't get it. That was about 2.9 million for the 2019 estimate. So let's stop the pretense here. It's government is saying we're not going to pay this, notwithstanding the agreement, and that we want to kick it out to 2021. Isn't that the official government position?
I think you made a very serious allegation there. Perhaps you didn't realise you made it. And you didn't make it against me or against the government or against HSE. You made it against the Labour Court. You suggested that somehow it was possible for the government to fix an outcome of the Labour Court or in some way seek to fix an outcome of the Labour Court. You know better than that. The Labour Court is an independent body staffed by very professional people and they act independently and they act judiciously, and to suggest that they would ever cooperate or somehow be involved in fixing an outcome is just wrong, and you should withdraw it.